Most people think they know who they are. They believe that what they see on the surface is all there is. But what if there's more? Have you ever caught yourself reacting to someone with intense anger or irritation, only to wonder later, why did that bother me so much? Or maybe you've noticed certain traits in others that you despise, but deep down, you suspect you might have yourself. That's the shadow at work. So, what exactly is the shadow? Why does it matter? And how can understanding it transform your life? Let's dive in. Let's start at the beginning. The concept of the shadow is one of Carl Jung's most profound contributions to psychology. Jung built on Sigmund Freud's idea that the human psyche has both light and dark sides. While Freud focused on repressed desires in the unconscious mind, Jung took it further, giving us the concept of the shadow, a name for all the parts of ourselves we deny, suppress, or ignore. Think about it this way. The shadow is like a hidden room in the house of your mind. You lock the door and pretend it's not there. But the things you stuff inside, anger, envy, laziness, fear, jealousy, don't just disappear, they wait. And sometimes they leak out in unexpected ways. These feelings are messy, and some, like jealousy, are surrounded by shame, making them even harder to confront. A classic story that illustrates the concept of the shadow is Dr. Jekyll-and-Mr. Hyde, written by the Scottish author Robert Louis Stevenson and published in 1886. The story portrays a highly respected doctor, Dr. Jekyll, who embodies everything you'd expect from a Victorian gentleman. Smart, kind, well-mannered, the kind of guy people look up to. But beneath his polished exterior lies a secret, a struggle many of us can relate to, a tug-of-war between his desire to do good and the darker, more impulsive urges he's deeply ashamed of. As a brilliant scientist, Jekyll comes up with an unusual solution. He wonders, what if he could separate the two sides of himself? Determined to test this idea, he dives into his experiments and eventually succeeds. He creates a potion that transforms him into a completely different person, Edward Hyde. Hyde is everything Jekyll isn't allowed to be. He's smaller, grotesque in appearance, and completely free from society's rules and expectations. At first, Jekyll feels thrilled. Hyde gives him the freedom to act recklessly without ruining his good reputation. It's like living a secret life with no consequences. No one knows it's him. But the thrill doesn't last. Hyde isn't just a free-spirited alter ego. He's violent, impulsive, and completely unrestrained. He begins committing crimes that Jekyll would never have dreamed of. Even murder. Despite Jekyll's attempts to control Hyde, the darker side grows stronger, more uncontrollable. Soon, the experiment spirals out of control. Jekyll finds himself transforming into Hyde without even drinking the potion. His darker side begins to take over, consuming him. Desperate, Jekyll tries to suppress Hyde with more pills and potions, but nothing works. The potion that once gave him power has now enslaved him. In the end, Jekyll realizes he's lost the battle. Trapped in his lab, he writes a haunting confession, knowing that the next transformation will be his last. When the authorities break into his lab, they find only the body of Hyde, marking Jekyll's ultimate defeat. The story leaves us with a profound lesson. Dr. Jekyll's refusal to face and embrace his shadow didn't free him, it destroyed him. While our struggles may not be as dramatic, it's a powerful reminder of what can happen when we deny the parts of ourselves we'd rather not see. The shadow doesn't just live in fiction, it's a part of all of us. We might not create potions or turn into someone else, but the consequences of ignoring our shadow are real. It shows up in self-sabotage, strained relationships, or a nagging sense of dissatisfaction we can't quite explain. Jung believed that most psychological problems arise from our inability to recognize and integrate our shadow. We spend so much energy keeping these parts of ourselves locked away that we become fragmented, exhausted, and disconnected from our true selves. You might be wondering, why should I care about my shadow? Can't I just focus on the positive stuff? The truth is, ignoring the shadow doesn't make it go away. In fact, the more you suppress it, the more it controls you. But here's the good news. Confronting your shadow isn't about battling it, it's about understanding it. When you shine a light on these hidden parts, they lose their power to control you. Instead, they become a source of insight, strength, and growth. Jung described the shadow as the dark side of the psyche, not because it's evil, but because it's hidden. The less we acknowledge it, the more power it holds over us. By recognizing and integrating your shadow, you stop seeing it as an enemy and start seeing it as a teacher. Feelings like anger, fear, or jealousy become opportunities to better understand yourself, your needs, your wounds, and the beliefs that shape your behavior. Rather than suppressing these parts, you can work with them. For example, anger might reveal where your boundaries have been crossed, while envy might point to something you deeply desire but haven't admitted to yourself. Each emotion holds a message, and when you listen to it, you transform your shadow. This process of integration doesn't erase the shadow. It makes it a valuable part of who you are, contributing to your wholeness rather than working against you. So, ask yourself, what's hiding in your shadow? What parts of yourself are you afraid to see? Jung's work challenges us to stop running and start looking. Because when you embrace your shadow, you don't just find the darkness, you find your wholeness.